Certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
Fellas, I feel this is my lucky day.
Brilliant.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Rankum. We're here to talk about top 12 Blumhouse movies. And yeah, there's definitely a lot of interesting things in there. Some that people may not have think about straight away. But we've got a great panel here. We've got Paige. Paige, how's it going?
Oh, it's so lucky. I'm so happy to be back within the new year talking horror movies. So what's better than that? So thanks for having me.
And next up, we've got Wolfman. Wolfman, how's it going?
Oh, what is up, everyone? Thank you for having me on here. Big horror guy, big fan of Blumhouse, so I'm ready to talk some horror movies and non-horror movies. So.
And moving on, we've got Chad. Chad, how's it going?
Actually, I think I owe Wolfman some royalties now. No, but Blumhouse, fantastic. A lot of horror, but some not horror. So let's see how this goes. I'm excited. I love this studio.
And last but not least, we've got JPO. Jordan, how's it going?
Hi there. Oh there. Hey there. No, happy to be here. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what gets brought up and maybe what doesn't make through as well.
Yeah.
Malcolm is muted.
Sounded like a Ned Flanders thing there, Jordan.
No,
Hi there. Oh there. Hey there.
Mike randomly unplugged itself.
It's like I'm wearing nothing at all. Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
But with that being said, how Rankum works is we each take turns and nominate the Blumhouse movie we think belongs on the top 12 list. And if the majority says yes to it, then we'll make the list. And at the end of the show, we will rank the 12 that have on the short list. And that being said, I'm going to go to Paige first. Paige, what is your first nomination?
Ooh, as I drop my phone. Well, I'm so happy I get to go first. I mean, I'll get the most obvious one out of the way. You mean, like, it may not be like, that's a Blumhouse movie, but it's the best movie I think that they have produced, and it's Get Out by Jordan Peele. I mean, y'all are crazy if you don't agree with me. Out of his 3 films, this is hands down his best film. And so, yeah, what do you guys think? And if you don't agree, you're going down tonight. So,
Wolfman,
Now,
what do you say about
someone
Get Out?
disagree? I just want to see it happen. I want to see the fight.
Well, you're about to, because I like Get Out a lot. It's not my favorite Jordan Peele. That goes to Us. I actually think Us is the best Jordan Peele film. So personally, that's my pick, and I don't think it's the best film Blumhouse has done. I have like 3 above Get Out, but I still really do like Get Out. So yeah, I'll say yes to it because I think it's still a worthy top 12 kind of entry in their catalog, and I think it is one of the best like directorial debuts. I'll say that, like, from a director, just knocked it out of the park. Jordan Peele did. Who knew he could do something like that? This guy from Key and Peele, a comedian, like, just gives us something like that and makes a horror movie that still stands on its own. And Allison Williams, Megan just came out. She's in that. She's great in Get Out. So yeah, it's just, and Daniel Kaluuya, just everyone here is great. And yeah, so I'm for Get Out getting in. So.
oh, thank God, because I was about to have to go Allison Williams on your ass.
But Chad, what do you say about Get Out?
Paige, you don't have to twist my arm here. Of course, I love Get Out. This is just one that came out, and it was kind of revolutionary in horror. It's like one of the best horror films of the past decade. One of the few, I think. And Jordan Peele established himself as an elite horror director just with this one. Not even just horror director, but just directors in general. And we're even seeing like some of his newer movies like Nope kind of bridge other genres as well, and just showing more and more of his brilliance. But I also do think none have been as great as Get Out was. It just hit on so many levels. With the metaphors, everything with that, but then also just like the emotionality, like everything with Daniel Kaluuya in this role, and just like feeling so torn because of what happened to his mother and blaming himself for that, and then kind of learning to get over that and stuff like that, and just the way they portray the sunken place in this is just terrifying as all hell. Just think about being trapped in that, and then you're just gonna get the chills. Honestly, it's just terrifying. And then to see people who are on the face one thing and then turns out they're something completely different, like when Chris leaves or whatever, and then everybody who's doing the auction just kind of like looks or whatever, like in unison. It's just like stuff like that's just so terrifying. And I know that he like took from other films in horror to make this, but I think that's brilliant. It shows that he's just so well versed in horror, and that's why he was able to make one of the greatest horror films ever made, and also bring a lot of comedy into it because he's a comedy guy. And Lil Rel in that movie is amazing, and TS motherfucking A, no shit. So one of the greatest movies ever made, nominated for Best Picture, maybe should have won. I don't know. Love it.
JPO, what do you say about Get Out?
I never saw it. No, just kidding. Now, this would have been my first nomination as well. So, of course, this is a big old yes for me. You mentioned the Oscar nomination, which is truly a strength of how good this was because it stayed in the conversation for an entire year because it went to the next year's Oscars. It was an early release and then was still being talked about, almost more than a year later. So, yeah, it's a great one. I mean, maybe the best debut ever. You're not have to look at that list, but if you hear Peele in interviews, I had some faith because I saw him in interviews before and I could hear the passion from him. And like, this was something that he was truly a passion project and it ended up blowing out expectations. So, yeah, absolutely.
You're muted again, though.
A day in the life of.
I don't know why my mic keeps moving to a little bit, but yeah, I mean it's one of those ones like with the like I was saying, like everyone's like, oh yeah, Get Out won't do much because it was released too early. Yeah, I think the time of going it was released too early in the year is really not a thing because as we're seeing this year, like everything every all at once is getting a lot of love. So, and so. I think we've kind of reached a period where we can't kind of say like, oh, it's released too early in the year, it's not going to do much damage because I think if it's a good movie, it's going to be remembered all through.
It's got to be next level. Like, some do get swiped under the rug, but when you're next level, like a Get Out or it can last.
If I remember correctly, Grand Budapest Hotel was like in February, and that movie like went all the way through to the Academy Awards that following year as well. So.
Yeah, and I think the same as for the first Black, because I think the first Black Panther was early in the year too.
It was, yeah.
But it's one of those ones like Get Out. I mean, this is one of those ones I was going to rewatch for this just to see sort of because I haven't seen this in since it's come out. But it's a really good movie. I'm still happy to say yes to it. So Get Out is getting on this list. Wolfman, what is the next movie you're gonna bring up?
So before I get to my next movie, I just want to say, like, and this is no disrespect to Get Out, but like, it is sad that was the last horror movie to be nominated for an Academy Award, like in the major category of Best Picture. Like we should have many. Academy's horror bias just sucks. Anyways, moving on with that,
Mia Goth. Sorry, since you're saying that, I gotta say Mia Goth should be getting nominated for Pearl, and the fact that she probably is not is the most devastating thing of the year for me.
Absolutely. She's like the Toni Collette of Hereditary this year. Like, she is phenomenal. But I'm picking what I believe is the obvious choice for the best Blumhouse film ever. It's one that may not be considered horror, but I kind of consider it a horror film. Because Damien Chazelle managed to make jazz drumming horrifying. Like, who would have ever thought that jazz drumming could be scary, but it was because of how good J.K. Simmons' performance was and Miles Teller and just the whole themes of how far you would go to reach perfection. And just this film is one of the best films I've ever seen in my life. I think this film is exceptional. The just from the directing to the writing to the cinematography to the sound, the like everything here is just a masterwork. And so for me, I think their masterpiece is Whiplash for me.
Chad, what do you say about Whiplash?
Damn, yeah, that was a good lead up. Yeah, Whiplash is fantastic. This is one that also kind of just showed what Damien Chazelle was capable of with these characters and just the drive. We lost them all together, maybe. Just the drive of that character to want to be the best at something and just to show how dedication and drive could go, how far it could go. Like you literally get a spoiler, you literally get in a car accident and you like limp your way, not to the hospital, but to actually go play the drums. And just to see, you know, J.K. Simmons and his just how problematic, like, you know, someone like that could be, but like he's both helping him and then also not helping him, and like that at the same time or whatever. And like everybody's like quoting the, you know, am I dragging? Am I, you know, I forget the quote, but
are you rushing or are you dragging?
Thank you. That's it.
Yeah.
And yeah, just great performances, pacing. It is like a kind of a horror thriller in a way. I could see that. You know, but also just that in sequence with the drumming is just like one of the most phenomenal things I've ever seen in like a music film, and just, you know, any film really. And yeah, so this one's incredible. I love this movie. So yes, Whiplash for sure.
JPO, what do you say about Whiplash?
This is definitely my tempo. Once again, this if you hadn't gone to it, this would have been the first thing. Now the second thing I would have said. So Chad, don't steal my third pick. Yeah, so you're making it easy for me so far, guys. Yeah, this is a fantastic movie here, guys. Two great performances by Teller and JK. And again, that finale sequence is one of my favorite finales. Sometimes I'll just watch that last 10 minutes if I don't have time for the entire movie, because it is just absolutely stellar here. The drive of wanting to be not good but great. I absolutely love this movie here, man. It was the first movie I watched in the year 2022. Like, I'm not superstitious, but I was like, let's start the year off with a banger, and I picked Whiplash because I just wanted to start off with a great movie. So yeah, absolutely big yes.
Are you at least a little stitious?
I evidently a little bit, because I do like want to always start the year off with a good movie, weirdly enough.
But yeah, like for me, I do enjoy Whiplash. Like I saw it for the first time last year. It's one that on my personal rankings it didn't rank that high, but it still ended up in my personal top 12. So I'm still going to say yes to it. Paige, what would you have said about Whiplash?
Well, since my vote doesn't matter anyways, I mean, obviously, yeah, like this film, like a lot of people don't associate Blumhouse with at all, but this is a damn great film. I mean,
there's blood in it.
Yeah, I mean, it's about passion and obsession, and I mean, Miles Teller, Damien Chazelle, I mean, JK, they all bring it, man. So yes, this deserves to be on the list.
And hey, if Black Swan can be a horror movie, then this is a male version of Black Swan.
True.
Pretty much. So
and another great Miles Teller performance this year.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Chad, what is your first nomination?
All right, so I don't know what Jordan was alluding to there. It says what his third pick could be, but it could be this because I think this movie is phenomenal. When I talk about like some of the few horror movies that I think like transcend and just become like the best of all time, like even though they're semi-recent, you have Get Out, you have Hereditary, and then you have The Invisible Man is what I'm picking. That movie floored me because I think it just like captures the whole fear of like someone having like control over you even after they're no longer in proximity to you. Like, you know, what like domestic abuse can do not just to you physically, but to your psyche and just your mental well-being years after you have supposedly gotten away from it. It still persists. And it was so bad for Cecilia, I believe her name is, that even when she's at her friend's house, who's a cop, she can't leave the house. She can't even go to going to the mailbox for her is a win in this movie, and it's very devastating. But to see that in a film, and then to see her kind of overcome this and defeat something that she can't even see is incredible. And I think that's also kind of plays into the whole metaphor of it's, even though you can't see it, it's still there. It's still ever present. And there's some of the most shocking things that happen in this. If you haven't seen it, be prepared for certain things to just happen all of a sudden sometimes. And I mean, that's to be expected when your villain is an invisible man. But I think I don't know, this one was just incredible. It's one of the last ones I saw right before the pandemic hit. And I don't know. It's always stuck with me. I think this is just a great film just in general, but I think this one should have been the next one after Get Out to have been nominated for Best Picture, and it was not, and neither was Elizabeth Moss, and I think it's a crime in both respects there, and really, really brilliant film. Love it.
JPO, what do you say about The Invisible Man?
So it wasn't my next pick, but it was the second to next pick. So we're definitely not far off. Another big yes for me here. As you mentioned too, yeah, I remember seeing like this. I had a good amount of fun with like Sonic and The Way Back with Ben Affleck. I was like, 2020 is going to be a great year with the movies. And that didn't quite come to fruition. But yeah, this is still a great movie here, man. You take an existing IP, you have a fresh new spin on it. You have a tremendous leading lady, Elizabeth Moss here. The tension is there, the built up. It's one of those that like I do recommend if you haven't seen it for whatever weird reason, don't see a trailer, go into it as blind as you can so you can really save all the good scares. It's great. It's definitely belonging here. Invisible Man, hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's with the Invisible Man. I think if the Oscars hadn't moved the eligibility period to end of March, I think the Invisible Man might have snuck in. Unfortunately, the Oscars had decided to move it, so I think that kind of what sort of stopped it. I don't know. But it's just one of those ones. Like, this is when I came too late because like I remember seeing it. I think I saw it like the 2021. But after all the hype had sort of died down a little bit. But it's one of those ones. Like, I thought it was fine. Like, I definitely don't think it's terrible. I'm still going to say yes to it. Like, once again, this is one that was really hyped up a lot when it first came out. I was like, so I thought, well, I avoid it until the hype sort of died down a little bit. And yeah, but still a good movie. And I'll still see yes. So, Paige, what do you say about The Invisible Man?
I mean, it's actually number 12 on my personal list. So, I mean, dude, this movie was made for $7 million. That's baffling. And not to toot my own horn, but Lee Winnell does follow me on Twitter. So shout out, Lee. I love your film. So hell yeah, this movie deserves to be on here. Elizabeth Moss should have been nominated. Like, these are my things. Like, what is the Academy doing? Like, yes, this film deserves to be on the list.
And just to see Lee Winnell's progression from, not being that great of a director, whatever. Like, he was really great in the Saw stuff. And then I think he started to get weird with Insidious. And then, like, The Invisible Man is next level. I'm like, whoa. Now I'm just excited for anything.
I may have another film of his on my list, so you guys may see it.
Wolfman, what do you say about The Invisible Man?
I definitely have another film on this list. And yeah, talking about the $7 million, I remember being kind of shocked because I'm a part of the voting of the Independent Spirit Awards. And I remember whenever they announced the nominees and Best Editing came out, I was like, wait, why is this in the Independent Spirit Awards? Isn't that like under $24 million or something? You have to be that. I was like, and I looked at the budget. I was like, no way was this made for $7 million. Like, no way. I just don't believe it. But it was like, but apparently it was. It was insane. This one is just outside my personal list of 12. I do think it's still quite good, but the other Lee Winnell movie I do prefer more. This one is definitely better than the original Invisible Man. I'll say that for sure. Actually, I don't know. I have to think about that because I do have issues with this movie. I do, but I guess it's getting in regardless because it's already been voted by.
Yeah, Wolfman. Doesn't matter what you say, man.
But I personally probably would. Like I said, I'm gonna have some hot takes. I personally wouldn't put this in the 12.
I'm sorry, there's no wolves in this, Wolfman, but you know,
that's a scorching take in my opinion.
Well, what if they're invisible wolves? You never know.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't see them, Chad.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's one of those things like, especially with like Blumhouse, they're really good at making movies for under like $24 million. Like, I don't think they have a lot of movies that's over that, to be honest. But JPO, what is the next movie you're going to bring out?
All right, I'm going to bring up one written, directed, and starring by Joel Edgerton. I'm going with The Gift from 2015 here. Gordo, who plays Gordo, who runs into Jason Bateman and his wife, Rebecca Hall. And, first he just seemed like a, kind of guy that just wants to be your friend. And there's a lot more to it here. There's a lot of built up, maybe vengeful ideas from the past here. Maybe Bateman's not just the, father to be that you think he is when you first meet him here. And again, just great tension building here. Great 3 performances here. And yeah, really great mystery that has you hooked in the entire time. The Gift is my nominee.
Yeah, this is one that I remember it had a really good marketing campaign because I think on Twitter they had I think their Twitter account was just Gordo, and like he would randomly send random messages to people going, "Here's this gift for you" or something.
That's great.
Because I know some of the people, like some influencers as well. I think they got sent an actual gift pack from Blumhouse when they were promoting this movie and stuff. But it was a big thing. But yeah, like this is another one I wish I'd had I rewatched before this because I know I've seen it, and I know I really liked it. Like, it doesn't compare to the earlier Gift, but that's not Blumhouse. But
Kate Blanchett, Sam Raimi,
yeah. But yeah, 2015's Gift is really enjoyable, and it's just one of those movies that I think does really keep, like, Joel Edgerton is one of those ones that like he's just got one of those faces that you can easily trust, and but it's one of those ones like in this they really took that out the water. It's like so yeah, it's an easy yes for me for The Gift. Paige, what do you say about The Gift?
I mean, yeah. I mean, you guys are making this really easy for me. Yes. I mean, I know she's not the lead in it, but she's supporting. Rebecca Hall is one of the most underrated and underappreciated actresses working today. Like, that woman needs more love and appreciation. So let's put her on this list. Yes, The Gift definitely belongs.
But Wolfman, what do you say about The Gift?
Oh yes. Oh, exactly.
Yeah, I know. I actually think that it's. I think that this is the most underrated Blumhouse movie of anything they've ever done. Actually, I think that this is the one that doesn't seem to get enough appreciation. I think this film is absolutely masterful and deserves even more respect than what it gets. This film, like, kind of messed me up. Honestly, I guess very like it's just some of the things that they do in this movie. It's very disturbing. So yeah, I think Joel Edgerton knocked it out of the park when it came to both the actual directing and the acting. Jason Bateman is excellent. Rebecca Hall, she's a killing it. Like she is between the Night House, between that most recent one that just dropped on Shudder. I forget the name of it, but
Yeah.
yeah. So she is just one of my like favorite actresses now, and
She's in The Town too, guys. Let's not forget about that. Good old Boston movie.
Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
nice. But yeah, definitely a yes for The Gift.
And Chad, what do you say about The Gift?
Yeah, I don't know. I saw this back when it came out. I just don't remember it that well. I remember it being a really good psychological thriller, though. Well made. I remember there were certain character turns which are pretty interesting. Yeah, I just don't remember too much about it. I just remember the performances being good. It's a good psychological thriller. So yeah, I mean, yeah, why not? You guys have sold it though, so yeah, yes.
I was getting mad at you, but all right, you saved it.
But yeah, for my next one, I'm going to take a chance on this because one, I don't know how many people have seen it, and because it is a really recent release, but I think it's worth talking about. And it's obviously Megan or M3 Gun. As what this, if you want to exactly say the poster out, but yeah, like Megan is one of those ones. Like I went in thinking like I was going to think it was fine, but I didn't think it was going to rank high. But look, this is one of those ones that I think the comedy and that like was really balanced, and I think even the horror aspects I think were really creepy. While there is I know there's at least one death that if you really like animals you're not going to like, but it's just one of those unfortunate things a lot of times of horror movies. Like unfortunately they do for some reason like to go to the animals, which is weird, but the movie itself is really good. Like but like the actors that play, like the two actresses that play the like Amy Donald, and I can't remember who the voice is. I think it's Jenna Davis, I want to say. But like they managed to be really good, like, and especially Amy Donald, who's the one that's playing the body. I think the way she moves and makes Megan just feels like a really robotic toy, which it was just incredible. Like, and I even really love the lead actors. I may be biased because it was filmed in New Zealand, and but I don't care. I bring it up. But Paige, what do you say about Megan?
So I mean, I personally think she is the best killer doll that we've gotten as of like recently. I mean, compared to Annabelle and Chucky, I mean, I think she might be able to hang on her own and take them
She
down.
is not better than Chucky. She's good.
I mean, she's an AI though, so she's like has the intelligence.
Better than Hannibal, Chucky. The TV show's better.
But unfortunately, not to be too biased, but since even though I enjoyed the movie, I thought it was great. I'm going to be a little biased because I think it's still too early on to consider it one of the best Blumhouse films. So I'm going to give it a no on this one.
Wolfman, what do you say about Megan?
I'm going to be in the same boat. I still quite enjoyed Megan. Don't get me wrong, but I just think it's way too early to say it's one of the best Blumhouse films. Like I feel like you have to let the film sit for at least a couple of years before you really can give it that high of a praise. So for me, unfortunately, it's a no again, but still a fun film.
Chad, what do you say about Megan?
I'm also in the same boat, but I also haven't seen it. I've been trying to see this movie for a while, but I just saw The Whale, so I've been busy. I've been trying to get to the theater, and I just haven't.
Definitely watch Megan. And after seeing The Whale, you need a
I
little.
really want.
Oh,
I
yeah.
really want to see Megan. I've
Sure
been
need to.
excited about it ever since it was announced. I love Violet McGraw. She's in a lot of Mike Flanagan stuff. He's one of my favorite directors. So yeah, I really want to see it, but it's so new. So even if I would have seen it, I still don't know if I would have said yes. Maybe, I don't know.
Funny enough, I had no choice to see. Well, it hasn't even released in New Zealand yet. But JP, what do you say
You
about
do what
Megan?
I do, which is legit. A couple days ago, I did a double feature of Megan and the Whale. That was a weird
That
double
sounds
feature.
awesome.
I should have flip flopped it though because I ended on the Whale. So I really
Yeah,
should've
yeah, you
flip-flopped
should
it.
have flip-flopped it.
So-
Interesting double feature though.
yeah, interesting double feature. The timing worked out. I had fun with Megan, but yeah, right now it's not in that top 12 for me. So I gotta say no. It's fun. It's worth checking out, but
I mean, I knew it was the case. I just wanted to talk about it. But Paige,
So
Paige, what
I'm
is?
I'm actually gonna go with. I don't know if a lot of people have seen this movie, but it is. I love. So I hope I can swear because I just did. I love found footage films, and this is one of the greatest ones done. I think in like recent memories, and it's Creep, the 2014 film. That movie is so oddball and weird, and it's just and. Hey, Wolfman, it's got a wolf mask in it, if that makes it feel any better.
Very scary too.
That movie is just insane, psychological thriller to the max. I mean, if you haven't seen that movie, you got to watch the first one and the second one right after because it's just batshit crazy, but it's also like kind of funny, but terrifying at the same time. I don't know. Everyone's got to see it. I love found footage films. I know a lot of people talk shit about it, but this is one you definitely got to check out. So.
Wolfman, what do you say about Creep?
I too love found footage films. I'm a sucker for them. It's one of my favorite subgenres of horror. I think, especially when they're done well, when they're done right, and Creep is one of those films that does it so well. Mark Duplass is on another level in this film.
Yeah, and he also wrote it too. That's another thing. Like,
oh yeah. Yeah,
he's a creeper in his own head. So
he's an excellent writer. Like I've seen some of the other things he's written for, and like this Mark Duplass is like a really good writer. And I am someone who they're both almost equal for me. Like they're both like neck and neck, but I actually slightly prefer two, just a hair over the first, just because of where they take his character and how it's like. How you obviously you still acknowledge he's a creep, but he's got like a sympathetic side to him too. It's like it's very odd the second one is, but it's very, very well done. And I love both of them, and absolutely hell yes, Creep belongs on this list. So yeah.
Chad, what do you say about Creep?
Yeah, I cheered for it. Creep is one that ranks very highly for me as well. In horror films, on footage films, whatever category you want to throw it into. Patrick Bryce and Mark Duplass are like a team that make these, and we're gonna get Creep 3 at some point. It's probably.
I think he's the main dude from the first one too. The other main dude, Bryce.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
This movie, you don't know what's going on the whole movie, other than the fact that there's a creep and Mark's kind of creepy, but you just don't know like how far it's going to go until you get to the end, and it's incredible. Just that whole build up and trying to figure out like what all this is leading to, and then when you get to the end is incredible. And Creep 2, I don't know if someone's gonna actually try to bring that one up. I think it's also very, very good. I don't know which one I'd prefer either way, but the first Creep is just fantastic. And if you just will feel creeped out. So they well done for for naming your movie Creep and then creeping me out. So there you go.
No pun intended.
Great movie.
JPO, what do you say about Creep?
Yeah, I was scared for a second when you said found footage because when you say that, I automatically kind of go, when you said Creep, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, for sure, I'm on board now. I too maybe would lean a little bit towards the second one here, but I'm definitely down to get a Creep on the list. I think if you haven't seen it, it's definitely a super indie movie here, man, but it works with Duplass's performance here. I think Desiree, I don't want to butcher her last name, in the second one is really great as well, performance wise. But yeah, Creep's very interesting here, man. It's very much a two-hander, and it's a good one.
I haven't seen Creep 2. I've seen the first Creep, and that is why I haven't seen Creep 2. I just didn't care. I did not care for Creep. I was just bored by it. It was like, and like I just really didn't like it, so it would have been a hell no for me. But it's making the list regardless. And Wolfman, we go back to you for your next nomination.
Okay, so you talk about the found footage genre. I'm gonna throw another one at you. This is, and this also segues into what Chad said, talking about the greatest horror movies of all time. This is to me up there in one of the greatest horror films of all time. This is honestly one of the scariest films of all time. I watched this at like 2 a.m. one night, and I was terrified out of my mind. And that is the first Paranormal Activity. Now, the reason I'm putting this film that high in regards to the top 12, it's my favorite Paranormal Activity. And to me, I think that this one is the scariest because you don't see what's happening behind the door. Or like you see the doors open at times and everything, but you don't know what's going on behind there. So it's fear of the unknown. And so, like, spoilers, but the part where she like gets dragged, the dragging out part isn't the scariest. The part that scares me the most is when you hear her just in the darkness and you can't be there to help her, and you just hear her screaming bloody screams like out of her mind, and you're like, oh my god, what is happening? What is happening? And it leaves your imagination. Our imagination is even scarier than what they can show, in my opinion. And so I think your imagination runs wild, and then he runs down the stairs and he starts screaming, and then you just hear the footsteps coming up the stairs. And I have to watch this movie with like holding my eyes like this a lot of times, because this movie utterly creeps me out. Talking about creepy movies. So for me, Paranormal Activity, definitely high up on this list.
Chad, what do you say about Paranormal Activity?
I think it's good. I like it, but I don't understand like that level of hype. I'm glad Wolfman loves it, but honestly, like, what he was describing a lot of the times just felt like he was describing the better of the two, the Blair Witch Project, which really revolutionized that genre. And then I think Paranormal Activity came out, and like I think I kind of see what Steven's saying, because there's a lot of just like sequences of just like them sleeping, and I understand where you're like, well, that's kind of creepy, because then you're like, oh, what's gonna happen? They're sleeping, we all sleep, this is creepy, and then things are gonna start to happen. So it's kind of like the anticipation. I guess I get that too, but I wouldn't put it super super high up, but I wouldn't also be mad about it making the list. And looking through a lot of other movies, if I see like franchises out there that might get mentioned, there's probably only one's going to make it on there. So looking through everything else that I've seen, I think I'll give this a slight yes.
JPO, what do you say about Paranormal?
That's not where I thought Chad was going. I felt like I didn't know that somehow became a yes at the end. No, I fortunately, when I said I was afraid when you said found footage before, it was kind of for something like this. I was an early backer because you heard a lot of praise out, and so my name's like one of the thousands of names that you see on the original DVD that came out. You can pause it and find my name real quick. But the movie itself just it bored me for the most part here, and it doesn't really enthrall me or encapsulate me in almost any way. So it's a no for me.
Yeah, when it comes to Paranormal Activity, I think I've seen this. I'm really not sure. I mean, I know I haven't seen the sequels. I know that much. It's just that first one, I'm just not sure if I've seen.
The one when they're in the hood is crazy, though. I don't know which one that is.
The March ones, I think, is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But so it's going to come down to Paige who makes a list. Paige,
what
do you say about Paranormal Activity?
Come on,
I mean, like I said, man,
movies.
first I gotta say, JP, you look like right now that you would be in a Paranormal Activity movie. The ominous background you have going right now, like I could totally see it. Like something's gonna pop up behind you or some shit's going down. But I mean, for me, that movie was made on like $100,000 budget. Like,
oh yeah,
it's not as good as the Blair Witch Project, but that movie's creepy as fuck. So I mean, and I love found footage, and yeah, it's the best out of the entire franchise, I believe, at least. So sorry, guys, it's definitely going on the list though because it's up.
I don't know if you've watched enough of episode we've had JPO on. His knees might pop up behind him at times. So
if you see a little Asian girl running around, it's not like The Grudge. She's alive.
But with that, Chad, we go back to you for your next nomination.
All right, I should have looked this. Yeah, no, we're good. It's time for me to go with my one of my personal choices. I'm not sure how many people have seen this, like this, love this, hate it. I don't know. But as I've said, I love Mike Flanagan, so I have to try to get at least one Mike Flanagan out there. Now he does all the Intrepid stuff, but at one point he was under Blumhouse. They helped him quite a bit after having some studio issues and stuff like this. And then Blumhouse came out and said, no, just make your movie. The only thing that we require you to do, and you can do anything else you want to do with this, is you have to name it Ouija. And so Ouija Origin of Evil is my choice for this because I think this movie is just incredible. I've never seen the first Ouija. I hear it's terrible. This movie has nothing to do with it except for the name. So it's barely even a sequel. It's kind of its own movie. And it's really just about kind of a haunted Ouija board and a haunted house that goes along with it. And, I don't want to spoil a lot of stuff about it, but, if you want to talk about really, 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 really creepy little girls, Lulu Wilson is up there in horror films. She's also in Annabelle Creation. She's amazing, and in this she's incredible. And Mike Flanagan just really knows how to direct creepy children really well, and just direct movies and shows and all this stuff really, really well. I love how they really just kind of it takes its time, and when the things come out, it's just really, really scary. Trying to figure out what else I wanted to say about it real quick, but yeah, I adore this movie. I just think the filmmaking is incredible in it, and I love that Blumhouse just kind of said, hey, make your own film and do what you want with it. And that's how we get the creative brilliance from Mike Flanagan. And I don't even know if we get modern day Mike Flanagan, him talking about doing The Dark Tower, if we didn't have Blumhouse. So that's why I chose this one specifically. Also, I love it.
JPO, what do you say about Ouija Origin of Evil?
I never seen it. Didn't like the first Ouija, and I get just because simply based on that, I just never got to any of the other ones. There was even other studios that were making Ouija movies, so I got bombarded with Ouijas, and I just wasn't interested. But good to know. I didn't see it's an earlier Flanagan, so it's probably something I will now check out. But just for the moment, no.
Yeah. When Chad said Mike Flanagan, I thought he was going to go the other way for the other one that came out in the same year. But yeah, I've not seen Ouija Origin of Evil. I heard it was about a haunted Ouija board, and it was enough to turn me off. But Paige, what do you say about Ouija?
He came out with 3 that year, actually.
Oh shit! Yeah, no. Unfortunately, since the first one wasn't so good, I didn't see this one. And I am a huge Mike Flanagan fan. I love all of his Netflix series that he's done. But if you went with the other, I'll just say it. If you went with Oculus, I would have been maybe. But yeah, unfortunately, since I haven't seen it, it's going to be a no for me.
And Wolfman, what do you say about Ouija Origin of Evil?
Not Oculus or even Ouija. If you would have said Hush, instantly I would have.
Was Hush Blumhouse?
I thought it.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Blumhouse.
All right, it's my next nomination.
I love Hush, and Ouija's good.
Hush is the better movie. I was trying to check it out.
Yeah.
It was. I should have nominated that. That's all right.
Yeah. But Hush is good, not Hush. Ouija is good, but it's not incredible. It's definitely better than the first. When you look at it compared to the first one, it's like The Godfather in comparison. Oh my God, that first one is horrible. But but this one is still it's good. I watched it in a hotel one night, and I had fun with it, but I wouldn't personally put it on the top 12. But yeah.
And with that, it's not going to make the top 12. But JPO, we go back to you for your next nomination.
All right, I'm gonna go pretty recent as well. One of my favorite films from 2022. I'm gonna say The Black Phone is what I'm gonna nominate here. Yeah, just tremendous performance there. Both of them, both kid actors here. Of course, you get a very kind of Stephen King vibe, which is not surprising when you find out his son helped write the story of it. Which something I found out afterwards. I was like, yeah, I totally see that, because there is a supernatural element to it as well. The little girl, and then really interesting stuff with her and Jeremy Davies, the dad who is fighting against it, and then the little relation he has later on here. Tremendous performance by Ethan Hawke, kind of like what you were saying earlier with Megan the Doll. Like, this is very much a performance that's within the way he moves, the way he talks, because he's covered with a mask for 90% of the movie. I was really into the tale. I was really into it, and it was legitimately one of my favorite movies of last year. So I'm going to say The Black Phone.
The Black Phone was one of those movies I was really surprised about when it came out, because it was pushed since from 2020 and it was one of those ones like, is it going to be any good? It's going to be one of those ones that was pushed and I'm going to watch they could have just thrown it to streaming because it's not that great, but no, it's really a really good movie, and it's just one of those ones like I don't think Ethan Hawke has done before he was cast in Moon Knight. I don't think he's really done a kind of a creepy villain type performance. And I think him in The Black Phone was really good, and I would like to see more sort of creepy villain performances from him because of it. So I'm gonna say yes to Black Phone. Paige, what do you say about The Black Phone?
I mean, hell yeah, Ethan Hawke as the grabber was creepy as hell. The only downfall I had with that movie was I wish we got more of the grabber. But I mean, we got Scott Derrickson back into the horror genre, and it was nice to see him direct another horror film. And he just knocked it out of the park. That movie is suspenseful as hell. It's sinister. It's just great. And those two
But Sinister is a different movie. This is Black Phone.
What did I say?
No, I was like, that's a Sinister joke.
Oh, I was like, what did I say wrong?
Because that's an Ethan Hawke, Scott Derrickson movie. I was trying. My joke failed. Don't leave me
exactly, yeah. But no, the children actors in this film are amazing. They definitely have bright futures for them. And yeah, I mean, this film is awesome. I mean, I would love to see a film of just about the grabber, and just see Ethan Hawke in that
Prequel.
creepy. Yeah, a prequel, that would be killer. Bring Scott Derrickson back.
That would also be very depressing, because that means the kid's definitely gonna die.
Yeah, I mean, so it is kind of fucked up that I just said that. I want to see some kids die, but I don't know. I mean, the film is great though. 2022 was a great year for friggin' horror, and that was one of them. So yes.
Wolfman, what do you say about The Black Phone?
No one's gonna chant it with me, but overrated.
Weird way to say that. Okay.
I just don't really see the big hype. I get the book was written by Stephen King's son, but this feels like every single Stephen King movie out there. It's the same movie as I've seen a billion times. There's nothing different about it. It just feels the same as all these Stephen King films that we've seen of late, as far as horror films go and stuff. I was hoping, when I heard the hype of this movie, I think ruined it for me, because I saw the 100% on Rotten Tomatoes at the time, and then I saw people saying, "Oh, greatest horror movie ever made," and people hyping it up so much.
Don't look at reviews before you see a movie. Then
that I went into this being I mean, it is fine, but it's not Sinister is the way better Ethan Hawke horror movie, personally, in my opinion. And so for me, it would be a no, personally. And also, I think it's also too soon. The film's only been out for a year. Are we really going to say, actually less than a year, technically, are we really going to say in less than a year that this is one of the greatest Blumhouse movies ever made?
Yeah, three of us just did.
Well, okay, we all just turned down Malcolm's pick because it was too recent, and now y'all are saying, "Oh,
well, that's just 2 weeks old. That's why."
There's an infant.
Okay. Whatever.
Sorry.
But Chad, what would you have said about The Black Phone?
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm kind of right there with Wolfman. This one is so over. Psych.
What a twist!
No, yeah, this was actually I just over the Nerd Entertainment Network with my buddy Hunter and my wife Carrie. We ranked 2022 horror movies, and I put this as my number one. I thought long and hard about it because there were so many that I actually really liked, but I just thought this one was just so incredibly made. Scott Derrickson not doing Doctor Strange 2, he went and made this. And I thought it was really incredible. It was really cool to see Ethan Hawke be a villain because if you think about it, he's normally not that. So to see him go that route was really, really cool. A lot of people do say things like, they wish that we would have got more of the Grabber backstory and stuff like that. And it's almost kind of like, I don't know if that would have made the movie a little bit worse. Actually, if they would have tried to, build.
He wouldn't be as ominous if they did. So I understand that. Yeah.
Maybe if they do like a prequel type of thing, that could actually be pretty cool. I think if they wanted to build upon that. I don't know if Joe Hill wrote a book like that. Probably not. But or I don't know what they left still on the page from the Grabber. I hope the Grabber is still kind of mysterious in that because there's a lot of Stephen King villains that are also very mysterious a lot. So I kind of get that. But yeah, I can understand maybe seeing this being like the same thing that Stephen King would do if you like look at it that way. But for me, I love Stephen King, so I love seeing these really creative takes. It's just like a kind of a serial killer type thing. But I feel like the Black Phone is a really cool thing that something like Stephen King would have devised, but he didn't. Joe Hill did, and I think that's really incredible to see this, manifestation of like the dead kids or whatever coming back, and that this is how they get their revenge, their vengeance on what happened to them is helping this kid get out and get away from the thing. Just to see like every little thing that he sets up, you think every little thing is like kind of like half-assed and failing, and then at the very end it all works together to foil the threat and get him out of there. And the twist about it being the wrong home, it's got kind of a cool like Silence of the Lambs type thing. And yeah, his sister is hilarious, like when she's trying to find him so bad and then she yells at God, she's like, God, what the fuck? And it's just really
she was
She's
incredible. I gotta say, like she was an incredible performer.
She was the scene stealer in that entire film,
and it was very, very scary. And Scott Derrickson does that very well as scares.
Yeah, no, it's one of those ones. The whole Wrong Home thing reminds me of Saw 2, where they send the cops to one location, they find that the son is a different one because of security cameras and stuff. But I mean, to just expand on that prequel thing, like look at Styles for like I would argue like the mysticism behind Darth Vader was a little bit ruined because of the prequels, because now when you watch New Hope, you look at Darth Vader, it's like you're just a whitey kid. But I mean,
Darth Vader hates sand.
Yeah, but why did Luke try that? Just take sand, Peterina.
Throw sand at him.
So
but anyway, but moving on. Look, we've got a few horror movies on here. But I'm going to bring up a movie most people probably wouldn't have realized was Blumhouse. And of course, I'm talking about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's Tooth Fairy. And yes, Tooth Fairy was made by Blumhouse, but that's not what I'm bringing up.
okay.
No.
I was about to be like, oh, this is
I need to
awesome.
look this movie up.
No, I'm going to transition into Black Klansman. And yeah, I mean, this is one of those ones that, like, you can argue it's a horror movie because it's sort of reflecting what's happening in real life anyway. Like, but it's just one of those movies that you wouldn't you wouldn't watch and think, oh yeah, that's a Blumhouse movie. You just really wouldn't. But it's just a really good movie, and I think they like John David Washington is really great in this, and I think this is one that I think really is really good and just showed why it was nominated at the Oscars and what got a lot of love. And I know I'm just rambling, but I've honestly haven't seen it in a while, so I don't remember a lot about it, sadly. But it's another one I was going to try and rewatch before this, but I made the decision to watch at least the entirety of 2 franchises that are not named Paranormal Activity for this. But Paige, what do you say about Black Klansman?
I mean, the fact that Blumhouse was able to produce a Spike Lee film, like, kudos to fucking you, because I bet you everyone was bidding for this movie because, I mean, this movie is awesome. I mean, the fact that it is pretty much about, like, white supremacy, which is, like, fucked up, and, like, Adam Driver and John David Washington just, like, play so well, like, they're back and forth and they're hand in hand, like, it's just, their performances are what make this film so great, and like the dialogue throughout this whole film. And Topher Grace as like I don't even know what he is, like would be like the leader, I guess, of the KKK is quite hilarious. So I mean, it actually wasn't on my list, but now that I think about it, I'm like, it has to. I mean, it was one of the best films of the year when it came out, and it was nominated for a Best Picture. Like, yeah, I mean, it's not a film that you affiliate with Blumhouse, but hell yeah, this movie deserves to be on the list. It's a Spike Lee film. Like, what? Like,
Spike Lee joint?
Yeah, sorry, yes. Spike Lee joint.
But Wolfman, what do you say about Black Klansman?
Yeah, not only was it nominated for Best Picture, but out of the 2 race films and the one race film that won that year, this one should have taken it easily. Because Black Klansman just made such an impact on me. It was one of my like top 5 films of that year. I absolutely loved it, and like it's hilarious. It's heartwarming. It's you have like it makes you angry too. Like the film just gives you like every single emotion that you can have just put into this film. And the writing is exceptional. Just like Paige said, the chemistry between Adam Driver and John David Washington is just next level. It's just such a phenomenal film, and I think it's honestly like, and this is high praise. I'm not like Spike Lee's an incredible director. He's done a lot of other films in between this that are really good, but I'm just saying that this is that good that this might be Spike Lee's best film since like Malcolm X or something like that. Like it's really made that big of an impact. So I loved it. So absolutely yes.
But Chad, what do you say about Black Klansman?
Yeah, this one. Speaking of like making you sad and angry, isn't this the one that ends with like the real footage of like the car running over people?
Yeah, that literally happened an hour and a half away from where I live.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
That was so close to where. That's another reason it had such an impact on me. Is I was so close to where I actually live, and it was
It's just like, you know, with Spike Lee and his hard hitting, like, you know, racial commentary. It's just he always brings it in every movie that he does with that. Like, you know, even some of like the really underseen Spike Lee movies out there that are like Bamboozled and stuff like that not a lot of people have seen. You know, he always brings it with that. You know, he's not afraid to go there and, you know, do something like this that, you know, seems like, you know, maybe it wouldn't work, you know, if not handled well, but, you know, Spike Lee's going to handle it well. He knows how to do it. And, you know, I think it's incredible. Just, you know, a story about a black person posing as a Ku Klux Klan member. It's just like insane. And it's a real story. Apparently it really happened, which is incredible to think about. But yeah, it's and you know, I kind of thought Topher Grace was making a comeback when I saw this. It didn't really pan out that way, but I was like,
his TV show's fun. Home Economics.
I was okay. I haven't actually checked that one out, but I was like, you know, I was like, wow, Topher Grace is doing really well. It's a really big racist.
And now he's on that 90s show a little bit.
But yeah, this one's pretty incredible. I also, just like Malcolm, kind of don't remember too much about it because I haven't seen it since it came out. But I'm due a rewatch. It's great, and yes to the film.
JPO, what do you say about Black Klansman?
Now, another big old yes for me, definitely on my list here. It juggles both, the comedic and the real situations very well here. Sometimes I don't always love the way Spike Lee does certain things, but I think he's absolutely on point here. The stylistic ways he shoots certain things with the characters here. Maybe my favorite John David Washington performance here. Yeah, it's a really good flick here. I agree. Maybe something I haven't seen in a minute, so definitely a worth of a rewatch as well. So, but definitely a big yes. Both deserves to be on here.
But if that Black Klansman does make this list, and we move back to Paige.
Ooh, what do I want to go with? You know what? I'm between two right now.
Go for the third.
Ooh, then what do I go with then? You know what? No, I'm gonna go with, you know what? Horror meets Groundhog Day.
Okay.
Happy Death, guys. I mean, like that film is like the fact that you named your main character Tree, and I like love her, and it's Christopher Landon. I pretty much believe in that. He also did some of the Paranormal Activity films.
There you go.
I mean, it's just hilarious. The film's hilarious, but it's also like terrifying in some sense because you're waking up every single day to get murdered, and it's kind of like a whodunit in a sense too, which is kind of awesome. So, I mean, what do you guys think? Happy Death Day? I mean, Happy Death Day to you is not that great, but this one deserves it, I think.
Wolfman, what do you say about Happy Death Day?
Yeah, I think Happy Death Day is a total blast. This film to me took me by complete surprise. I remember I rented this from like Redbox with a friend or something like that. We were wanting to see it, but we never got to catch it in theaters, so we watched it together. And we thought, because the ads, like, don't get me wrong, the trailer is good. Like, the ads played so much of that one song that we thought, like, oh, this is going to be a movie we'll laugh at and make fun of and all that stuff. And, I guess we just thought at first the premise was stupid of, oh, Groundhog Day, like, slasher? Like, what? Like, how is this going to work? Took me by complete surprise, and I actually had a blast with it. And for a PG-13 horror movie, it actually is effective. It's really funny. It's got some good kills. It's got some like intense moments in there. And yeah, Tree, while that might be one of, if not the dumbest name in cinema history, I will say that her the character Jessica Roth,
Yeah.
she was excellent, and one of like the best like final girls that we had, and like as far as the 2010s go, like I thought she was excellent.
She's the first and final girl.
Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, no, I absolutely love Happy Death Day, and Christopher Landon, he's a great director. He did, like you said, Paranormal Activity in March ones. That was an insane movie, but one that's like kind of a go-to pleasure of mine. Freaky, he did as well. That one's really fun. And then Happy Death Day to You is okay, but this one I feel is like the best work he's done to date. This is really excellent. So
I mean, I'm a sucker for slasher films, and then you kind of put a Groundhog Day twist on it. I mean, it's just like kind of meant to be. And for Stephen in the chat, like,
and they actually find a way to like make it work to where you can't really like try to question the science behind it or stuff like that. Like they actually find a way to make it work. So kudos to Blumhouse, to Christopher Landon, to all of them. So yeah, absolutely makes the list for me.
Chad, what do you say about Happy Death Day?
Yeah, actually looking this up, it looks like her actual first name is Teresa, and Tree's I think her nickname. But yeah, it makes sense.
It is, yes.
I actually really like both Happy Death Days. The second one I saw in the theater. The first one I don't think I did. I also did the renting it later type of thing. But yeah, I do kind of mimic a lot of what Wolfman said. Like, I remember looking at it and I'm like, Blumhouse, sometimes they're or they could be really bad or really great. That's the thing with Blumhouse. Sometimes it's like, they'll make a couple really bad ones and then they'll have one that you're like, this is the best movie I've ever seen. Happy Death Day, probably not the best movie I've ever seen, but I don't think the Groundhog Day formula will ever really get old. I mean, even Edge of Tomorrow's everybody loves. So it's just a formula that works. It's incredible. I love how the characters, when they're stuck in a situation like that, they'll learn. They'll just use it to keep learning how to get out of the situation, how to solve the mystery or whatever. And it's exactly what she does. And I think it's incredible. It's funny. It's such a surprise of a movie. And she's incredible in this movie as well, Jessica Roth. I mean, I hope they make a third one. I don't know where they go with it, but maybe somebody else could be stuck in a thing.
I saw somewhere it was labeled as Happy Death Day to Us, so we'll see.
Okay.
Ooh, I mean, I'd watch another one. So.
Yeah, exactly. Groundhog Day meets slasher meets horror, I think was just an incredible idea. And that whole baby mask thing should be it should just be like iconic in the lexicon, right up there with Michael Myers and all that. At some point we'll have it like that. So yes.
JPO, what do you say about Happy Death Day?
No, another good old yes for me. To go off what Chad was saying, yeah, we've been kind of spoiled with like really decent Groundhog Day like movies. Another good action one is Boss Level with Frank Grillo's a lot of fun. Edge of Tomorrow, of course, Palm Springs. If you're looking for an R-rated comedy, that's right. Really great. So yeah, when it works, it works, and this works in the kind of comedic horror standpoint here. It does really good too of taking Tree, who is a little vapid at first, and you end up falling in love with her and very much invested in her, and it's also kind of a fun mystery too, kind of figure out what the hell is exactly going on here. It's funny, it works. I don't mind the sequel. It definitely does kind of jump the shark a little bit, and it kind of also strays a little bit away from horror to a degree, but the first one's great. Definitely, I think belongs there. So yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones like when they announced they're doing a sequel. I was one of those ones like, how are you going to do a sequel? Because like that's not going to be basically the same as the first. And they brought in the whole alternate universes and then like and to me that was a good way of like doing a sequel, but not sort of sticking with the thing of the first one. And so I think if they do a third one, they'll probably find a way to use the time loops, but find a way to twist it enough so that it's different once again. But the first Happy Death Day is great. And it's just one of those ones that I just really love. It's an easy yes for me. So Happy Death Day makes this list, and we move back to Wolfman.
Yeah. So my next film that I'm going to mention, I'm surprised none of y'all have mentioned this. This is the Sham Hammer's one of his best films that he's done. That's what I like to call him, and that is Split with James McAvoy and my girl Anya Taylor-Joy. This film is exceptional. I saw this in the theater, and this was like right after the visit when we were like, okay, M. Night's doing something here, but I wasn't ready to say that he was making like a comeback and everything. And then he did Split, and it's like, yo, M. Night is like back. This is like really, really, really phenomenal work from him. James McAvoy, another performance that I think is a shame it never got an Academy Award nomination for, because James McAvoy was better than like a majority of performances that year. Like he was that good. And my favorite actor, fun fact, Joaquin Phoenix was actually supposed to play the James McAvoy role in this movie.
Interesting.
And then something happened and he wasn't able to do it. So, but either way, it would have been great with either one of those actors. But then you get to the end of this film and the reveal. Are spoilers allowed if it's the 2016 movie, right? I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, the reveal that like it's connected to Unbreakable. You're like, whoa, what?
That was a plot twist, yeah.
This is insane. Like I was waiting for that M. Night twist. I was like there was some in the movie, but I was like, this isn't M. Night enough. I was like, where is that like big twist? And then it happens there, and you're like, whoa, this is insane. And then he gave us Glass, which I actually really like. I don't understand the hate for that one, personally. And like he's just been killing it with all of his films lately, in my opinion. So yeah, I think Split, absolutely, it's one of M. Night's best. So it makes this list for me.
Chad, what do you say about Split?
M. Night Shyamalan is a very, very complicated guy. You know, he released The Sixth Sense. People were like, the next Spielberg. And then it's just kind of been like a little bit of a roller coaster, a lot of ups and downs for him. Like, you know, and at one point he was like one of the worst directors of all time for people, like making like, you know, Last Airbender and all that stuff. Or I think they just called it Avatar. I don't even remember. But when this came out, I do remember it was kind of a revelation. It's kind of like, he is back. Holy shit. And then with that reveal, you know, it was really incredible because people really love Unbreakable, or most people, I think. But then now I think with like Old and stuff, you know, I did not like that movie that much at all. I'm still excited for Knock at the Cabin, but, you know, and with Glass, it's just interesting because I didn't really care for that movie either. And I kind of think Split might have been better if they would have just left it just one thing instead of trying to force a franchise. And then Glass isn't really that good. And then like it really didn't go anywhere after that. And he's obviously kind of like given up on it. I don't know if like they teased anything after Glass to have more, but I feel like that was kind of a weird thing to end on. So I don't know. I kind of really wish it was just its own thing. And even then, I think the third act kind of gets just a little weird, where he starts to turn into a monster and a creature. And I think that might have been a lot to like force kind of, you know, a whole creature villain universe type of thing with Unbreakable. So I feel like it's a really great like 2 acts that I really enjoy. I don't know if I agree that McAvoy is like, you know, top tier in that movie, but he's definitely very good. I don't know. I think I would probably just edge a no on this, a slight no, even though I really like the movie.
Doesn't sound like it.
JPO, what do you say about Split?
No, I'm gonna give it a yes. It's on my list here. I really dug it here. I dug everything. The icing on the cake, Bruce Willis cameo at the end here. I do unfortunately see the hate for Glass. I don't see the hate for it, but it's definitely a big disappointment. As far as where you're coming off of Split, you know, I was very hyped for it, and then I just kind of thought it was a diminishing return. Also, it showed that M. Night's not an action director. The action scenes are very messily shot in Glass. But we're talking about Split. Split was great. I think McAvoy is great. I think it's a worthy, an Academy worthy enough nomination performance here. I love, you know, that the dude can handle all those characters so well with not that much prep time, as kind of Wolfman had said. I thought it was a really interesting tale here. I don't mind the supernatural elements that go on here. I was in it for the whole ride. So, of course, Anya Taylor, of course, is a great final girl. So, yeah, I got to go. I definitely do say yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like one of those ones like M. Night partnered with Blumhouse actually worked because like I mean, I haven't seen The Visit yet, but I've heard nothing but good things about it. And it's just one of those ones like and Split is a really good example of this too, where they took M. Night and kind of let him go what M. Night does, but keep it a little bit more sort of grounded, and I think it worked wonders. And I think you definitely said, because I mean, well, I personally liked Old. I think it's one of the, like when you see M. Night outside from the umbrella of Blumhouse, like it tends to be all over the place again. But
pretty much when he has a bigger budget, the films aren't as great. At least I've noticed.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I like Split. I didn't like Glass. I'm going to say yes to Split. But with that, we go back to Chad.
Well, I get to say if I like it or not, guys. But yes, I'll go fast. Yes, I like Split. Yes, it's a great film. This is one of my favorite M. Night Shyamalan films. So yeah. I give it a two.
Sorry, I got lost about who had spoken.
You're good.
But Chad, now this time, Chad, what's your next nomination?
Yeah, I came up with this idea all on my own. Yeah, now I'm gonna try it again. Hush, is what I'm gonna go with because I adore Mike Flanagan and I really think he deserves a film on here. And honestly, I would have nominated Hush first had I known that that was Blumhouse because I was checking and I was like, I think he probably divorced himself from that like right after like Ouija and stuff like that. But no, Hush counts, and I'm really glad it does because I would love to talk about it. You know, even if it doesn't make it, I think this is a brilliant film. It's like just like I don't know, it's like a whole home invasion take, but it's got a really cool like twist to it where the protagonist is deaf. So she's like a writer and she's trying to just be in a remote cabin, like writing her book or whatever. And she has all these devices that help her get around and do things, and it all kind of plays into how she ends up, getting past this threat. And oh God, I should have looked up. Do you guys remember the name of the villain? Because he's fantastic. He's in like Short Term 12 and a lot of other really great movies.
It's John.
John Gallagher. Yeah.
Yes.
John Gallagher.
I do love
Yes.
him. Yeah.
Thank you. He's
10 Cloverfield Lane too.
Yes, 10 Cloverfield
I
Lane.
love. They said Short Term 12. That's one of my favorite films, and it's like so underrated.
I adore that.
I knew I liked you, Chad, not just because of your Bobby poster behind you.
Yeah, thank you. I like you too. Hush is just phenomenally written. It's one that kind of when Mike was kind of struggling a little bit, it's one that like really showed he's like, let's go back to basics. Let's go back to just, trying to make a really great film, not with a bunch of studio involvement. And Blumhouse is the best kind of like studio for that because they just let the filmmakers make films. And Mike Flanagan really knocked it out of the park with this one. It's incredibly suspenseful. There's a lot of he did the phenomenal show Midnight Mass. If you haven't seen it, check that out. There's a lot of references to that. I believe he is writing that book or something like that.
Oh wow! I did not put that together at all.
There's a lot of like cool little Flanagan stuff, and of course his wife stars in it.
I was gonna say, yeah, I know his wife is in Hush. Yeah.
Yeah, and the crazy villain from Midnight Mass is in it as well as she plays her friend.
Oh God, Bethany,
right?
Yeah, she totally forgot she was in there.
Yeah, and she's not insane like she is in Midnight Mass. But yeah, Hush is incredible. I hope it makes it because I really think my Mike Flanagan should be on there, and I think this is one of his best ones. I think if not for Dr. Sleep, or Gerald's Game, this could be his best movie. So adore it.
JPO, what do you say about Hush?
So this is one of those ones where like it hurts me to just give it a slight no, only based on the fact that it's just not in the 12 that I have, but I really dig it. I'm not going to mind if it does go through here because it is a nice new little twist here. Like you mentioned Gallagher. Yeah, it's a good flick here, man. It's one that I saw based on, just recommendations. It wasn't necessarily on like my super high on my watch list, and other people were like, no, check it out. It's good, and it's definitely worth watching. So like I said, slight notes based on that. I have other things I want to say, get to it, but we'll see if it gets there. Malcolm?
I know it's not the Buffy episode, but still.
Oh, now if you had said that,
right?
Did Blumhouse do that? Let's nominate it.
Shout out to Nerd Chronic. I love
you. I think Hush was a good movie. But unfortunately, had you brought this up instead of Reggie, I might have said yes. But unfortunately, there's a couple that I want to get a chance to bring up because I know that if this makes the list, JP will be the last one to speak. So I'm going to sadly say no to it. But Paige, what do you say about Hush?
I mean, it's a good old home invasion film. It's Home Alone with the deaf woman. So not really, but I mean, it's actually would have been one of my choices as well. So yes, I'm giving it a solid yes. Mike Flanagan deserves to be on this list. He's one of the best working horror directors today. So
oh yeah,
credit is where it's due. He deserves it.
So Wolfman, it comes down to you. What do you say about Hush?
Don't fuck it up.
I don't think you can have
a list ranking Blumhouse films or ranking. I don't think you can have a horror ranking in general and not have Mike Flanagan's name pop up. Like, this dude is exceptional. I want him to direct a Nightmare on Elm Street film. That would be a dream pick of mine.
He's doing Dark Tower, which is incredible.
Yeah, and his
Well, the
shows,
first one went with that one. Well, he didn't direct it, but yeah.
his shows are even like better, like Midnight Mass, more like Midnight Masterpiece.
It's one of the best things ever written.
And then like Haunting of Hill House, just like maybe the best show of that decade. Like, I thought that
Hill House and Blind Manor, chef's kiss,
incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah, like he's killing it right now. And so for me, Hush, it was actually like really intense. I was on edge during this movie, and it really got to me. So because of that, I would put it in. Yeah, I would say yes to Hush. I think that this film is a worthy contender for the list.
And with that, Hush does make this list.
And Malcolm is pissed. Just say no to JP's movie then.
Well, I mean, depending on what he brings up, he might be bringing up the one that I'm hoping to bring up. But JP, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
Well, now I'm going to bring up something that was talked about a long time ago. So I didn't think I was going to get to it, but I think we need to get to it. Lee Winnell, Upgrade. Super dope film that I think definitely belongs on here, man. You again say almost more action than horror, but it's super bloody here. It's a unique one. Even some good twists towards the end here. It's really just also shot well too. Like, I haven't Lee Winnell hasn't really done anything like that kind of since. Like, I want to see him do more like kind of action horror hybrids. Just really, really dope flick. That was another one that was kind of a surprise. On paper sounds fine, and then they execute the idea and everything really well.
That wasn't it, JP.
It wasn't, but this is also one that for some reason, had I remembered this was Blumhouse, I would have watched it for this because I haven't seen this. But I just completely forgot it was Blumhouse and just didn't think about it. But yeah, but Paige, what do you say about Upgrade?
I mean, you guys know how I feel about Lee Winnell. He follows me on Twitter, guys. So obviously I'm going to say yes because this movie is awesome. I mean, STEM, who knew a little chip can be your fucking worst nightmare? Like, yes, that movie is just incredible, highly underrated. Once again, Blumhouse is killing it with their smaller budget action, thriller, horror films. They just know where to put the money when it comes to these films, and blew the roof off of it with this one. So yes.
Wolfman, what do you say about Upgrade?
All right, so I have a reason for this. I'm going to explain myself because we've got Jordan Peele, we've got Mike Flanagan, we've got M. Night Shyamalan, we've got even Spike Lee, we've got some of the all-time greatest filmmakers. We already have a Lee Winnell. I'm a very inclusive guy. We already have a Lee Winnell film on here. We don't have a James Wan film yet, and there are two James Wan films that should be on a Blumhouse ranking. And so I am actually going to say no just for the fact of hopefully, I don't know what Malcolm's going to bring up, but if it is one of the Insidious films, then maybe we can include that on here just as a little inclusive, like, oh yeah, James Wan, who's an iconic filmmaker, also gets to be on the list. So I don't know. That's my reasoning. But otherwise, it would have for sure. If The Invisible Man didn't make it, I would have for sure said, like, hell yes.
Which means, Chad, it falls on you. Does Upgrade make this list?
To be honest, Wolfman did make a very compelling argument for maybe trying to see what else could be brought up. I don't know what Malcolm would bring up. And then I'm sitting there thinking, is Insidious the best kind of like James Wan to bring up? Is it as good as Upgrade? Is it something that I'd rather watch other than Upgrade?
Insidious Chapter 2 now, maybe, because I actually prefer the second one.
Because I just don't think Insidious is, the best of James Wan either. Because you have, what is it? what is it? The other franchise? Help me out
Are
here.
you thinking of Aquaman with James
The
Wan?
Conjuring.
Yeah.
No, but I don't know. It's I can't say no to Upgrade. I just don't think I can. Because it's just so damn good. It's like, that's kind of like the rise of Lee Winnell. Like, it's why I'm so excited to see what the hell else he's going to do next, because I didn't think he was a good anything before Upgrade. Like, he was in Saw, he helped make the Saws, but he wasn't like the director. So I was like, oh no, James Wan's not directing, it's Lee Winnell.
And he did one of the Insidious films too.
No, Lee Winnell's going to direct it. No, and then Upgrade, and then The Invisible Man. And then I'm like, please direct something else, because you're incredible. The way he just moves the camera with the action sequences, the sci-fi elements to it, the twist. There's just so many great elements to it. But yeah, I really would love to see a James Wan on here. I don't know what Malcolm was going to do. He's probably going to say maybe he was going to do a James Wan. But yeah, I'm going to say yes to Upgrade, because I do think it also deserves to be on the list, even though I kind of wish it was a little more inclusive. But, I love Upgrade. What can I say?
Yeah, unfortunately, Upgrade does close out this list. And before we go into the actual ranking part, I'm doing on mentions, and I'm going to start with myself. The one I was going to bring up is the one I'm surprised no one brought up. Halloween 2018.
Oh shit! I forgot about that. Was lead number 3 on my list.
I'm
damn it!
That was my next one.
I'm glad it missed, because that movie I have a lot of issues with, and it would have been a big fat no for me. So
I agree. I would not have passed on Halloween 2018, because I don't like that one. I like Ends more.
Yes, I am in the same camp.
Wow.
Ends is the best of the trilogy. Ends is the best of that trilogy.
Yeah, Evil Dies Tonight.
But I mean, I knew what Wolfman was going to say about Halloween. But I mean, to me, that was the big one that I'm surprised didn't make it in. But other ones I was going to bring up. I was actually going to bring up Freaky, because I think it's really good. When it comes to found footage, whether or not you call this found footage, I actually really like Unfriended. I think that was a really interesting.
That was on my list as well.
And I actually really like the first Purge movie. I
love that movie. That's my favorite in the franchise.
Yeah, I don't like.
That was the next one I would have brought up.
But Paige, what are some honorable mentions you would have brought up?
I mean, yeah, kind of like you just said. Honestly, the next one I would have brought up was the first Purge film, because I actually really like that film, and I think it's underrated. I mean, I like a home invasion film, but kind of set on this one day a year that violence is okay. But what else do I have? I did have Ma, the Octavia Spencer film, but that's a good time. The Belko Experiment. It's kind of like Cabin in the Woods, but just like set in an office building. I think that film's great. A new one that I actually just recently saw that came out this last year in 2022 was Run, Sweetheart, Run. And that film is on, I don't know if it's on Hulu or Amazon Prime, but I highly recommend everyone go check that film out.
I think it's Amazon Prime, at least it is for me.
It's a great film. I highly recommend. Obviously, like Insidious, Freaky, like you said. Yeah, and Halloween 2018. So sad that I completely forgot about that. But it probably would not have made the list anyways. But,
I mean, to be fair, like Wolfman and Chad would have said, no, I don't know what JPO would have said about Halloween.
That is true.
But Wolfman, was some honorable mentions that you would have brought up?
All right, so some of my honorable mentions, I would have probably brought up Insidious Chapter 2, because I actually prefer that to the first one. I think that one's really fun. Another one I would have brought up, and I say this wholeheartedly as someone who is not a Rob Zombie guy, but Lords of Salem, I actually really do like. That film is like the best film that he's done in my book. So I would have maybe brought up Lords of Salem. One I watched last night, I don't know if any of you guys have seen it, it's too new, but Sick. Written by
I watched that last night.
I watched it yesterday too, and the movie's actually pretty awesome. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we all binged it, just we didn't know.
Yeah. I mean, the ending is a little like the ending doesn't have too much gravitas to it for me, like the reasoning behind it. But I mean, it's a fun
Yeah, I
Invasion
didn't mind that one. Yeah, it
Yeah.
kind of reminded me of like Hush to a degree. Like it was good, but small cast, but like it kept me interested.
And it's Kevin
I mean,
Williams, so you
yeah,
can't go wrong. So.
If Megan did have a chance, Sick wouldn't.
Which I forgot to like.
Yeah,
at the end,
Sick
I was like,
literally came out
that's
24 hours ago.
right. Kevin Williams. was good.
It did release
Yes.
at Toronto Film Festival, but
Yeah.
still, yeah.
That's the newest baby we could have.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then they did like trying to look at like some of the lists here because they did a documentary called like I think it was the Netflix one called A Secret Love, I think is what it was called, and that one what I would have brought up just because that was a really emotional and really that was a non-horror, but it was a really emotional and well done documentary. And then Cam on Netflix. I thought Cam was also one that came out about a cam girl. That was and that one was like kind of trippy and interesting. So I would have brought that one up as well. So those would have been my honorable mentions.
Chad, what are some honorable mentions you would have brought up?
Yeah, I actually really enjoy all the Insidious movies except for The Last Key. I think they're all pretty great. Sinister, I think, is one of the scariest movies ever made.
Oh, I forgot about that one. That would have also have been an honorable
I
mention.
kind of wish that would have been on the list, but we still got a Derrickson, so it's fine. It's I also kind of forgot they made Lawless, which is really weird. It's not an honorable mention though.
Oh, yeah.
But it's still weird. Yeah, The Purge is okay. I love Oculus. I think that's incredibly underrated. Creep 2. The Visit, I actually really do like. That's a Shyamalan
Another good
movie,
M Night one.
that I think is right up there with Split. That is also very good. Let's see. Sweetheart. That's a movie nobody really talks about. That was interesting. I actually really like The Hunt. That movie that came out.
Oh shit! That I didn't realize that was wow.
Not
Yeah,
the
that's a good one,
Finnish
too.
one or whatever, or the Denmark one, but the American one with Betty Gilpin. She's pretty incredible in that.
Yeah, the one Donald Trump didn't want released right away because he thought it was so controversial. Suck my dick, dude.
And Vengeance was one of my favorite movies of last year as well. I might have
didn't see
gotten
that.
there at some point. Check that one out. And then, yes, Halloween Ends was my number 6 of last year. I adored that movie. And I kind of wish the other two had been not made and they would have just came out with Ends because I love that movie.
JPO
And Pray. Sorry.
I think which is?
Did you say Prey is a Blumhouse film?
I think it
Probably
is.
not the one you're thinking
That's
of.
a different Prey. It's not. If you're thinking of Predators, Predator Prey, then that's a different Prey.
Okay, yeah. No,
That's not the Prey of Hulu with the Predator. No, that's a different movie. Anyway, yeah, it's a different Prey. It looks almost like it too from the cover. But no, I also would have said the 2018 Halloween would have been the only other thing I would have said in my 12 that didn't get there. I also thought about Vengeance from last year, newer one, but I thought it was very well written, another kind of funny, good one. Lawless, it is an honorable mention for me. Great cast. Shia LaBeouf, Tom Hardy are fantastic in it. Freaky, I would have mentioned, very fun in the Happy Dead Day to You kind of same vein. The Hunt. Belko Experiments, another good one, and then the other one, I don't know if anyone's mentioned, a movie called Slight is really good too.
Is Slight that WWE Studios movie?
Yeah, it is, but it's got no wrestlers in it, and I think it's just one that they put money into. So don't use that as a reason not to see it.
But yeah, some that was mentioned in the chat from Stephen. Like most of them were brought up anyway, but like he talked about Oculus. He said he didn't like 2018, but he did like the second one. He mentioned Purge Anarchy, and then he said he liked the second Insidious better than the first one. Which I'm kind of similar. Like I like when I talk about franchises, like I watched pretty much all the Purge ones that I could find. The only one I didn't see was the first Purge. I'll get to that eventually. And then I watched all the Insidiouses up to the first 3 Insidiouses. I haven't seen The Last Key yet. But yeah, but with that, that brings us to the voting portion. Just to recap the 12 that are on this list, we've got Get Out, Whiplash, The Invisible Man, The Gift, Creep, Paranormal Activity, The Black Phone, Black Klansman, Happy Death Day, Split, Hush, and Upgrade. And how the voting works is we write down what we want at number 12 on a whiteboard or a bit of piece of paper, and then we just go around and vote. But Paige, what do you have for number 12?
I have Hush.
Wolfman.
I do like Mike Flanagan, but I think it's like even though it's on my 12, it's to me the weakest of the films. Then when I think of Blumhouse, it's not really the one that like pops in my head as one of the top ones. So yeah.
Wolfman, what do you have for 12?
Black Phone. Like I said, I think it's too new to be super high on this list, and also it's kind of it's good, but it's not like amazing. So.
Chad.
Paranormal Activity.
JPO.
Chad's right.
And I put Creep, but Paranormal Activity is going to be number 12.
Everything else is so good.
We can reuse one, like the same one, right? Two if we want to. Okay.
Yeah. If it hasn't been put in a slot, you can keep saying it until someone agrees with you.
That's
Okay.
called the Malcolm strategy, basically.
But Wolfman, what do you have for 11?
I've got Black Phone again.
Chad.
I'll go.
I think it's,
JPO.
Oh, Creep.
Creep. And Paige.
Hush.
But Creep is.
They might be able to guess what my next one will be as well.
Yeah, you might win this time.
Chad, what do you have for 10?
I know it's on my shirt, but Black Phone.
JPO.
Hush.
Hush. Paige. And Wolfman.
Black Phone.
I tried Wolfman, and it makes me sad.
I'm undefeated in this so far. I'm doing good.
Dang.
You know it's not a competition, right, JPO?
I don't know. Well, because that's probably going to end soon, so I just want to say while I could. Trying to make myself feel good, Malcolm.
JPO, what do you have for 9?
Split.
I've got my favorite Queen song, The Invisible Man. Paige.
I have the Black Phone.
Wolfman.
Black Phone again.
Chad.
No, I went back to Split.
Up to you, Malcolm.
Yeah, we've actually got a split decision, so I was the only one that wasn't Split or Black Phone. And yeah, it's going to be Split.
Yeah, undefeated sure continues.
God, y'all are writing Black Phone too high, but okay.
Or you're not giving enough, so.
I mean, I've seen it multiple times since, like, it's sticking. But yeah.
What was number 11 again?
Number 11 is Creep.
Underrated.
What was 12?
Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for 8, I've got The Invisible Man still. Paige.
I still have the Black Phone.
Wolfman.
Black Phone again.
Chad.
I went The Gift.
JPO.
Happy Death Day.
The Black Phone is going to be a hit.
All right.
I mean, I will put it on record saying that Chad changed his vote from the black phone to split. So, so because have almost gone out.
Well, that's just because Hush should be like top 3. I'm a Mike Flanagan fan. What kind of-
Hush was has Hush been picked yet or no? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah, so just to recap what is still left, we've got Get Out, Whiplash, The Invisible Man, The Gift, Black Klansman, Happy Death Day, and Upgrade.
Great films.
Paige, what do you have for 7?
I have The Gift.
Wolfman,
I've got The Invisible Man.
Chad,
Get The Gift.
JPO,
Happy Death Day.
The Invisible Man. So JPO, The Gift or The Invisible Man at 7?
Oh, The Gift or Invisible Man? Oh,
Yeah.
The Gift. They both should be higher, but
Is Split still up there?
No.
no.
Split is number 9.
Okay. I have a horrible memory, guys, as you can tell. Now that I don't study for trivia, I just write reviews. I'm like, knowledge and memorization go out the window.
But yeah, Wolfman, what do you have for 6?
Invisible Man.
Chad,
Happy Death Day.
JPO,
Yeah, that thing.
The Invisible Man, Paige.
Happy Death Day.
Yeah, Happy Death Day is going to be 6.
6 is a great spot.
So if it's Malcolm, Upgrade, Black Klansman, Invisible Man, Whiplash, and Get Out.
I will.
So wait, Paranormal Activity isn't there anymore?
Nope.
Yeah, Paranormal Activity got was the first one that got.
Oh,
Yeah.
see, horrible memory. You guys are like telling me what it is, and then I keep messing it up.
Yeah. So we've got Get Out, Whiplash, The Invisible Man, Black Klansman, and Upgrade. So yes, you're right.
Okay.
Definitely. Chad, what do you have for number 5?
Black Klansman.
JPO,
Upgrade.
The Invisible Man, Paige,
Black Klansman.
and Wolfman.
The Invisible Man.
See, I think the Invisible Man what got picked.
Well, so I think we've got 2 for The Invisible Man, 2 for Black Klansman. What did you do, JPO?
I said Upgrade. Is it on me again?
Yep.
It is on you. So Black
Thanks.
Klansman or The Invisible Man?
Oh, Black Klansman then.
Yes, because I mean, the Invisible Man is like a horror classic, and so this remake did pretty well. So I mean, I think this should be pretty high on the list,
I'm
guys.
with that. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Invisible Man is just one of those ones that, I liked, but it's just I didn't love it as much as everyone else did. Obviously.
So what is left? Get Out, Whiplash, The Invisible Man.
And Upgrade.
Incredible movie.
Okay.
So there you go. It makes
I
sense.
know that's why it's so hard. I keep forgetting.
I know what my 4 is, and I'm about to show you.
But JPO, what do you have for number 4?
Upgrade.
I've still got The Invisible Man, Page.
I have Upgrade as well.
Wolfman.
I have The Invisible Man.
Chad.
It's good, but it's
The
not.
second best Lee Winnell movie, Upgrade.
That's a tie, right?
That's the first. That's the first best.
No, that's the second best is what I wrote. What?
So, Upgrade did get picked. I thought it was a tie again.
No, it got picked.
Yeah,
So
because
this is
like,
impossible. These
I
last
believe
3.
Paige, JPO, and Chad all had Upgrade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Get Out, Whiplash, and The Invisible Man at the three we've got left.
Those are top 3 movies if I ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is my top 3, so I'm good with it.
I mean, the first 3 mentioned on the show as well. So
You know what's fucking crazy is Halloween 2018 was number 3 on my list, and I completely forgot about it. Jesus, Joe.
I would have said yes.
But yeah, I've got The Invisible Man still, Paige.
I mean, I know I shouldn't consider this movie to be like, it should probably be like 2 or 1, but I don't know. When I can think of Blumhouse, I do think of horror, so that's why I put Whiplash.
Wolfman.
It's The Invisible Man for me.
Chad.
I adore this movie, but I'm also a horror person, so Whiplash.
And JPO.
Invisible answer because it's The Invisible Man.
The Invisible Man is going to be it.
Actually, well, I'll just.
So we just put our number 1 down, right?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And it's between Get Out and Whiplash.
So it is our number 1 that we put down?
Yeah,
now you're
number
doing
1.
the opposite.
Just because the other one become number 2 by default, so it's easier to do it by pick number 1 because otherwise we all know what the number 1 will be if we go for the 2. So.
Exactly. Doesn't make it as tense if you give your number 2 because then we know what the number 1 is.
Exactly. But it might be interesting because it might be unanimous because I think it's the only one that hasn't actually been mentioned by anyone during this. But we'll find out. Paige, what did you have for number 1?
Obviously, it's Jordan Peele's Get Out. That film is a masterpiece. It's one of the best films in the 20th century that's been released. Like
Wolfman.
Obviously, it's Whiplash, one of the best films, one of the best movies of the 20th century that's been released.
Check.
Copycat, a wrong answer.
One of the greatest films ever made. In fact, Sight and Sound just said so. Get Out.
Yes, it was like 95 on the list, but I'll take it.
Man, I don't care what Sight and Sound says, even though they're right this time.
Yeah, I don't think the number 1 movie on the side of the poll was ever made by Blumhouse, but yeah, unfortunately, I've also got Get Out, so Get Out will be number 1.
Gene Dealman.
Yeah,
hey, not unfortunate. That's a dope list. I don't mind anything on this list. I love the top of this list too. Like,
agree.
Yeah,
they're next level.
I would watch any of these films any day of the week. So I'm pleased with what we came up with, guys.
Yeah, but with that, I'm going to recap the 12 that made the list. At 12, we've got Paranormal Activity. At 11, we've got Creep. At 10, we've got Hush. At 9, we've got Split. At 8, we've got The Black Phone. At 7, we've got The Gift. At 6, we've got Happy Death Day. At 5, we've got Black Klansman. At 4, we've got Upgrade. At 3, we've got The Invisible Man. At 2, we've got Whiplash. And number 1, we've got Get Out. But that being said, that is the end of Mannequin for tonight.
We did it, guys. We didn't murder each other.
But yeah. But
yes.
But go to the Take 3 page and vote for what you want next week's topic to be. And yeah, yeah, Paige, we can be on you online.
Yeah, well, first I was going to say thank you, Malcolm, for having me on. I always have a blast when I'm on the show. I think it's such a creative, fun idea to rank a list. And thank you guys as the panelists for making it a good time and choosing great stuff. But yeah, you guys can check me out on Twitter and Instagram at Front Page News 9. I also write reviews for Bite Size Breakdown. You guys can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and we also have a website, bitesizebreakdown.com. So stay tuned for all of our reviews there. And I may be having a YouTube show coming up on the Bite Size Breakdown channel. So stay tuned for that, guys. And thank you guys again.
Wolfman, where can people find you online?
Yeah, you can find me on the YouTube channel, Mega Movies, where I cover reviews, rankings, all sorts of interesting stuff. Tomorrow night is some more big content coming because it's the premiere of The Last of Us. So I will be doing a Last of Us after show every week. When
if we have, if you need like a guest host or just want a panelist, I'll come on and talk with you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would love to make it like a big discussion every week. So I'll definitely consider getting you on for one of the episodes because I think it's like 8. It'll be 8 to 10 weeks worth of
Exactly.
of content. So yeah, that's coming up. Plus just some more reviews for you guys and other fun things like that. So be on the lookout.
I'll take over. And Chad, where can we find you at?
Oh, me? Okay. Yeah, go over to my channel, Chadwick Webb. We rank a lot of stuff. That's pretty much all I do so far. Yeah, we just did a huge Disney animated ranking. So we did all 61
Oh, damn.
proper Disney animated films. It took 5.5 hours, and I just threw that bad boy up. I was like, check it out. It's doing okay. But yeah, check that channel out. Like and subscribe. We have a lot more planned. I think we're doing Tarantino. We're doing,
Ooh, I want to be on for Tarantino.
I want to be on for that too. He's my favorite filmmaker of all time.
We're doing phase 4 of MCU as well. And a lot more stuff. Check out the Nerd Entertainment Network. I already shouted that out. Welcome to Primetime. We talk horror. We talk Buffy. We talk, a lot of great stuff like that. And then check out the Dill Pickle Movie Network. We do a show called Picture This, where every month we do a year in Best Picture stuff, and we talk about the Best Pictures nominees of that year. Talk about the actors, actresses, the ceremony itself. This month we're doing 1972 because we're starting our Godfather series. So we're going to do 1972 this month, then 74 next month, and then we're going to take a little bit of a break for the Oscars for 2022 films, and then we're going to do 1990, which is in April, which is also my birth year. So check that out because we have fun doing it and trying to see if the Godfathers were in fact all the best movies of those years. I don't know. Are they? Let's find out. Thank you. This was fun.
Yeah.
And I'll take it over again. And Jordan, where can we find you?
Yes, over at the Pierce Code channel. We do some movie trivia all the time. Show about trivia. We're starting the 2023 tournament pretty soon here, as well as some countdowns. We do top 10s over there. And then the Pierce Wrestling channel. Same idea, but with wrestling stuff. Wrestling interviews, exclusive wrestling matches, and wrestling trivia. Malcolm, what about you? Oh, wait.
Look, my chat's blowing up.
I know we're in the same chat too. I know what he's doing.
Look,
Mr.
you can find
Popular over here. Sorry.
You can find me on Take 3 Productions. You can find me on Take 3 Productions. Where I host Ranking every week. I also host the Oscars show. Should be happening tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern, called Gone with the Wind. And also this week I'm going to be on Movie Hero Network doing movies of 2022.
Hey, I'm on that too.
Yeah, and yeah, until next time, yes, let's see. I don't ever really